Hello everyone.
Welcome to the youth sports community.
A community striving to enhance youth sports.
I'm Taylor Medic.
I'm Sean Canon.
And I'm Matt Ma.
Thank you for joining us today. The youth sports community is proudly presented by Nuance Hockey and Ma Golf.
Nuance Hockey provides detail-driven on- and off-ice development in the Edmonton area. For more information, please visit our website at nuance.hockey and follow us on social media.
Ma Golf provides elite coaching for golfers of all skill levels at the Millwoods Golf Club in Edmonton. Our apparel is provided by Bird & Barley, prairie-inspired, golf-focused. To receive 15% off your next order, please visit birdandbarley.com and use our promo code YSC15.
This episode is produced by Nick Hussey of Hussey Multimedia, and hydration is provided by Earthwater. We are very excited to have Scott Fellnermayr joining the community for today's podcast episode. Scott was born in West Kelowna, British Columbia.
Scott Fellnermayr is the head coach of the NAIT Ooks men's hockey team. He began his coaching career at NAIT in 2017 as the video coach under head coach Tim Fraggle and assistant coach Sean Bell. Along the way, Scott spent 2 seasons as the video coach, 1 as an assistant coach, and 1 as interim head coach.
Before coaching at NAIT, Scott played 4 seasons with the Ooks between 2012 and 2016, where he was part of 3 ACAC championship winning teams. In those 4 years, he achieved a business management degree. After graduation, Scott played 1 season with the Huntsville Havoc of the SPHL.
As a head coach, Scott won the ACAC championship in the 2021-2022 season. Scott is also a hockey development coach in his spare time, where he does on-ice skills training with youth hockey in Edmonton, ranging between 5 and 17 years old.
Scott, we really appreciate you taking the time to be here, and welcome to the youth sports community. How you doing today?
Good, thanks guys.
Well, let's start off, Scott. Kind of tell us about your first memories of youth sports growing up in West Kelowna, British Columbia.
I actually started playing. I didn't play hockey my first year I could, which was as I guess 5 years old. So I played soccer. I had allergies to the cut grass and bad asthma trouble and stuff, and then I started learning to skate. My mom put me in like a learn to skate. She actually had me, I think she could check a box if you were geared towards hockey or figure skating. I didn't know this till later, but she wanted me to figure skate. So she put me in that. I learned to skate, and and then the following year played hockey, and it was so much better for the asthma, so I dropped soccer and stayed in hockey, and a couple years in I was pretty good, and I was the kind of guy that would be like obsessed with things. So my dad built put a tarp behind the net in the garage, and I was shooting pucks and watching hockey, playing hockey video games, and just doing everything to sort of figure it out on my own. Like, no brothers to play with, but I had neighbors and stuff I'd kind of play with, and did a lot of figuring out that stuff on my own. There was no YouTube videos and stuff like that, but I was definitely the type of person that got obsessed quickly. So especially with when a kid has a little bit of success, and in my second year started scoring goals and quite a bit, so I was having fun with it and just wanted to get better and better. So
that's awesome. And I know there's a lot of junior teams out in the Kelowna area. I don't know exactly where they're all located, but did you have some local teams that you were able to get behind as well, living there?
The Kelowna Rockets was big. I didn't go to a ton of games. We'd go a couple times a year maybe, and that was always the team that I would kind of strive for. And then later on, the West Side Warriors became a team. I was probably just getting into midget by then, 14, 15 age. So that was kind of fun to watch and see, like, oh, that's the next level, and where I hope to be in a few years. And so became pretty. It's right by my high school, Mount Boucherie High School. They played Mount Boucherie Arena right beside. They changed the name now. Can't even remember, but they. So I'd go to. I was an avid fan, going to all the games I could back then when I was in high school. I was a later developer, so I was 16, not even close to ready to play at that level. But yeah, watching those games, and it felt like that was actually pretty big. Now that I think about it, for learning, seeing that big step, because I was playing midget AAA at the time, which is not what midget AAA is here. It's like the major midget in Kelowna was equivalent to maybe the Alberta level of midget AAA.
Right.
I'm sorry, U18 AAA. They were calling it now. But so it was levels away from that level of hockey. But watching that consistently was big.
Being in figure skating, were you a good skater right off the bat? Like you learn how to work the edges a little bit better.
I don't know. It was just a learn to skate thing. I remember I fell. Actually, I have a scar on my lip. I fell like my first time, and I was not into it at first. I was average, I think.
Average at best.
Became a strength, I guess.
I guess at the very least, it got you a start on the ice.
Yes.
Yeah. Just to get comfortable, I guess.
And how about the Canucks? Obviously, being out in BC, when did the Canucks start to kind of get on your radar? And I'm sure the games were on TV and people had the jerseys in town, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. Everyone on West Side's a fan. My parents split up when I was really young, and my dad lived in Vancouver. So my earliest memories were going to games with him. Like went to a few games. Back when Mark Messier was playing there, actually.
Classic.
This was the first one I remember, and I was just that's I mean I like the Oilers and stuff now too. Obviously it's fun, it's good for the city, but I'll hang on to that Canucks thing forever because of those early memories.
Home team, right?
Yeah.
Always going to be.
Yeah,
that's great. And then how about in school, kind of through your elementary and junior high years, were there any other sports that you'd like to participate, within the school system?
Basketball, until grade 9. That's when I dropped that. I had to get a little more focused on one sport. But yeah, for me, basketball, that's one that like it's just so much easier to just do on your own. I had a basketball net in the driveway, so I would just always be playing and just always had the basketball, and that was fun for me. And some of my closest friends actually through elementary and middle school like didn't play hockey, so that was kind of always the thing I would do, is play basketball. Nice. But nothing to really write home about there. There's no accolades in the basketball. Couple driveway wins that went undocumented, but yeah.
Do you think, looking back on it, there might have been certain skills from basketball that helped translate into hockey, though? Like even the
stops
positioning
and starts and lateral movement and the stops and starts and hand-eye coordination, I guess. Sure, there's little things that I wouldn't really register with me that probably do pick up, but
even the cardio, right? Like you're always moving in basketball, which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, so that was probably a good way for me to kind of stay in shape. I always like doing that, but
maybe just like a little mental breather from hockey,
for sure,
but keep you fit and active at the same time without you actually thinking about training.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's super cool. And then, obviously being out in Kelowna, I've only been there a couple times in the summer, but I'm assuming the winters are probably a little more mild than they are here. So we've heard about the outdoor rink from a lot of guys that have grown up in Edmonton. I'm just curious, like, is an outdoor rink even possible there?
It's something that since living here, I think about that all the time. I'm like, if I was a kid, I would have been out here all the time playing and practicing. Like I'd be in my garage shooting just off the garage, or had plexiglass and stuff, and that was just like the best we could do. I lived near Shannon Lake growing up, so that lake is very small, and you could never skate all the way across it. It was always kind of like a dangerous situation, and near the outskirts though, on those cold winters sometimes you could shovel off a space and skate, but it's not like it was in my backyard where I could do it all the time or do it without parents, right? Because there was always the risk of someone falling in and that kind of thing, because it wasn't so cold there. So kids don't understand how lucky they are here, I don't think, because you go out on that. I'm a believer in like that pond hockey ice too, especially for young kids. All the weird bounces that you get, it just gives you the
creativity too.
You're
not playing 5-on-5,
dealing with tough pucks and not having so much space too. Like kids when they're 7, like if you're just marginally faster than somebody else, you skate around them and go up the ice. It's too easy. So having to play pond hockey is as good as anything. So
for sure.
It's just so lucky around here. You've got so many outdoor rinks with boards, always frozen. It's different for sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting contrast to think about. At the same time, like, a lot of kids now will have a shooting area in a garage or in a basement, but at the same time, that's become more normalized in the last, maybe decade or so. But it's interesting to hear, you growing up, and again, you didn't have the outdoor rink, so you had to find a way to get those extra reps, like you said, on the driveway, right?
Yeah.
And did you find that was pretty common for kids in that area to be, comfortable with, working on their skills and their shot off the ice?
Yeah. I think my closest friends would be doing that. They would get on the rollerblades, buzz around, have a ball or a puck, but usually just those hockey balls or something, and shoot and just, I don't know, imagine
street hockey,
just the street hockey stuff. Yeah, those are some early memories too. Yeah, playing on the street up where I lived with some of the older kids and stuff, and waiting for cars to go by, and that whole thing, right? I mean, that was common.
How about the minor hockey career? When did you get right into hockey, and then how did things develop before, like you said, you were 16 when, you weren't ready maybe for the next level, but you're still playing at a high level? Like, how did that journey come about from starting to getting into, competitive rep level hockey?
Do it differently now. I wasn't, I don't know, where do I start? Like, when I was 6, I started playing hockey, and then when I was 7, I was like I said, you get a little faster than other guys. You start, and that's when it really clicked, because I scored a lot of goals that year, and then I just started loving it. So then I was everything hockey, and everything my parents get me for Christmas is related to it and stuff, and they can see that it's making me happy and all that, and then I'm good at it and stuff. But then it was kind of like every year it was like alternating, where the next year I didn't really score much, a little discouraging, and kids caught up, I suppose. And then first year Pee Wee, Adam, it was a big realization that, like, wow, like all these, because then you're in 2 age groups, right? And I wasn't the best player, I was kind of average, and then the next year I kind of take a step, and then the Pee Wee first year a little behind, and then the next year I got to be the captain, and that was a good experience, and I played well. And then same thing in Bantam, I was a little smaller kid, so I had always kind of that alternating, like the one year I wouldn't be that strong, and then the next year I'd be decent. And then in midget, like, which U18, I gotta get used to saying that, and U18 my first year, there wasn't a lot of guys to cut in West Kelowna, and I got cut, and I had to play midget B. So that was tough, like when you're in high school and your buddies, a few of them made it and some didn't, and all that, and then I'm playing there and didn't even really light it up then. And then when I was 16, I made the AAA team. I had the worst year of injuries. I like cracked a rib and a broken back, like a piece in my back, the facet joint, and so I had that, and then I came back from that, and then I hurt my leg, so I had like barely played that year. And then the next year, go out to Sycamoose tryouts as a 17-year-old. Well, actually, I tried to make the major midget team in Kelowna. I didn't get cut yet, but I probably was going to, because they can only take so many 17-year-olds.
Right.
And they committed to the ones they really wanted. So I was like, I might not make this. I might have to go back to AAA. Go to Sycamoose, try out there. Coach there, absolutely hilarious guy. Blair Robinson, man, he's so old school. He'd shoot pucks at you and stuff. He was so funny. But it was just a little too much for me, thinking about moving away from home and stuff. So I ended up quitting, went back to AAA, and the coach there, Blair, was like, I was going to keep you. And I was like, fuck, maybe I should have stayed. Anyway, I go back to AAA. Yeah. It was, the hockey wasn't good. I knew that wasn't a good idea. One of my good friends was telling me, and so it was a graduating year, like grade 12 year, and like I said, a lot of my friends didn't play hockey, so like they're pulling me to, like, oh, we're gonna go out every weekend. Someone will have a party. This will be fun, and whatever. So I kind of got sucked into that, and then one of my buddies was like, "Man, who cares? Like, you'll come back. You'll still get to graduate here after your season, and like you'll be the new guy almost." And he like sold me on that idea. So you can go play junior, wear a visor, man. I was like, fuck, okay. Called the coach in Sycamoose, and he's like, you still work hard? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, I'll take you back. And I went back and played junior, and that was huge for me. I lived on a farm with 4 other guys, a bit of a revolving door with trades and stuff, but we always had 4 other guys that were all older than me. And like I said, never had brothers. So there were a couple of those guys, like just great mentors to have, like beating me up every night. That kind of thing. Lived on an old dairy farm. The D. Dutchman Dairy in Sycamoose is like a place where like buses stop to go get their ice cream. It's really legendary.
Wow.
And I lived on a farm like just out of town that was part of that family that would provide the milk for the D. Dutchman Dairy ice cream thing. So yeah, we lived in this old like 100-year-old wooden house with everybody upstairs, and so I did that for that year and was somewhat
was that a billet situation?
Yeah, that was a billet. Yeah,
with multiple guys on the team.
Yeah, 5 guys would live there at a time usually. And, so that was cool. Like, back then, like flip phones and like we didn't have any internet out there. They had dial-up internet and stuff, and could have done better in school. But then the next year, I went back and as an 18-year-old and played junior B again. That was the year I started to move up the lineup, and I started to get better offensive production, and then Blair was my head coach, Blair Robinson, and his nephew Scott Robinson was the head coach of the Dawson Creek Rage, which is a new NA team, NAHL team. There was no BCHL teams calling me, like camps maybe, but nobody's saying we want you. So I ended up going to Dawson Creek, and we were a bit of a weaker team for those 2 years. But it was that's where things again kind of took off a little bit more, because that's a good league actually. The NA is actually really good. The Americans can all skate, and they're all shifty, fast defensemen and stuff. So we had that was good. It was good. Didn't get the Div 1 scholarship I was after, but ended up going to. I was going to just live at home in Kelowna and play for Okanagan College, and I signed there. I was with one of my captain from Sycamoose was playing there, so we were sort of excited about that. And then that team folded. Actually Dawson Creek folded 2 teams in like a month, because Dawson Creek folded, and then my coach was in a lawsuit with the team, so I never had conversations with him. I was trying to find a place to play a school. I was hoping to go U Sport or something, and there was some teams kicking the tires on me and that kind of thing. But then I ended up just saying, you know what, just live at home, go to Okanagan College, which is in Kelowna. And then that team folds in like July 31st, and you guys know how that is. Like teams have set their rosters, so then the word gets out that all the players on Okanagan College are looking for teams. So I've got a couple phone calls from ACAC schools, and I actually wanted to go to SAIT and play with a friend of mine, but then they weren't committing to me, and NAIT, Serge Lajoie called me and said, asked me a couple questions, whatever, and then got back to me the next day and said, everything you've said is consistent with what your coach has said about you. I'll give you a chance. You'll be the 14th forward to begin with, kind of thing. And then went there, and it's funny enough, my friend that I wanted to go play with at SAIT ended up coming to NAIT Tyler French, and then we won the championship that year in SAIT. I had never won anything. It was amazing. Living away from home, more of the real college experience. I feel so that was great. And those 4 years, like Serge did such a good job. Like as the coach now, I'm trying to do a lot of the things he did, and he built like a group that guys wanted to be together. So many of us stayed together for 4 years that by the end, like we were so dominant. We had in my 4th year, we went undefeated. We went 36-0. We won every single game, and we just had this deep team of guys that loved playing together. And we were solid. It was a hell of a time.
Well, and tight knit too. Like a lot of those guys are still really good friends of yours today, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Some of them are still playing, which is crazy to think about. When I'm like, they're skating, I'm like, how are you doing this?
That's so cool to see. Yeah. Well, we definitely want to. That's awesome to hear your journey through those years, and we definitely want to weave in kind of some of the things that are going on with the current hockey landscape. And it's really interesting to hear you talk about, that ebb and flow of being a rookie one year in minor hockey than being a vet the next, which is back when we were all going through it, what happened, right? And it's interesting to hear that, to relive it. And it is very different year by year, because if you're that second year kid and you've already been there for a year, typically in a lot of cases you have the same coach, you got a core group of guys that stay. Those rookies that are coming in, not only are they a year younger, but they're usually getting used to a whole new coaching staff and core group of players. And it's tough. It's definitely, tricky, but at the same time, that's the way it goes when you get to the higher levels, right? So now, obviously, with a lot of the, different leagues and what's going on, there's a lot of kids more kids that will stay with the same age group throughout multiple years.
Yeah.
And not have that. So I'm just curious, looking back and having, just walked us through it, do you kind of, see that being a bit of an issue if kids don't have the ability to be a rookie and then be a vet, alternating years?
Yeah, I've never thought of it, but I do think that is a potential issue, like, because then once you get to junior and you're years younger than guys you're playing against, like, that might be a factor. Or when you get to the U18 level, I guess, right, those players probably see it for the first time in those the U15, U18 levels, I guess, which is it's good to be humbled and realize that there's bigger, stronger guys, and if you're sort of top of your age group, and then you're in your first year U18 or first year U15, and you're playing against those guys that are 12 to 18 months older than you or something, that's a big difference when you're at those age groups, and the strength and learning how to maybe, like, you all see it when guys get into pro hockey and out of junior, maybe they were lighting it up and then they go play pro, and they have to, it's like, you're not the guy anymore. You're not first power play. You have to learn how to play away from the puck and play that kind of game. So the earlier you can learn how to find different ways to help the team, then the better. And if you're sticking with the same, if you're HSL or something, and you're the same age group the whole way, and you're just always probably that guy because you're amongst the same group of kids, that you just have one role on a team, that could be detrimental, I would think. For sure. So when it hits you pretty hard when you're older, and you're all of a sudden you're told to kill penalties or to focus on your play away from the puck, and then you just probably I imagine kids have a tough time handling that that message.
Yeah, for sure.
Seems like in your career you always had like a lot of adversity, like the one level or the first year, and then the next year you got better. You never really gave up. Like, what was kind of your drive to kind of keep you going? Like, was there a coach that helped you? Just the mindset you had?
That junior coach helped me a lot, Blair Robinson, because like in midget, I didn't make the AAA team. That was embarrassing and all that. I thought I really wanted that, and to be in school with all the other guys that did make it, like, that was tough. And then the next year, with the injuries as a 16-year-old, so then the next year as a 17-year-old, I was thinking, like, a lot of 17-year-olds are playing in the dub or they're playing junior A and stuff, and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere with hockey. I even said that to Blair when Blair was the coach in Sycamoose, and we were going up for an exhibition game. My stepdad had been driving me back and forth for every practice, so we're going up there, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this.
How long's the drive?
2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, good drive. So we're going 2 hours to Sycamoose, and then we've got to get on the bus and go to Revelstoke. And I'm like, he's like, let's have a pros and cons list here. And we're driving up the whole way, talking about it. I said, yeah, I'm going to quit. So I go there, and I wait for like the guys to leave, and I said, Blair, can I talk to you? And I said, I'm not sure, like, if this is going anywhere for me. I don't think I really have a future in hockey. And he's like, well, you definitely have a future in hockey. There's so much hockey after 20, all this stuff that he, and he's like, you work hard, and nobody give me a compliment in a long time. I mean, not nobody, like coaches, I had good coaches in minor hockey too. But he was just kind of like, he actually believed in me there. And I remember going through those tryouts, and a lot of guys bigger than me and guys who had already worn visors before or came from other teams. I'm like, there's no way I'm making this. It was like doing the math. Like, I didn't even think I could make a junior B team. So like for me doing that, and then living with those older guys and having Blair as a coach that like believed in me before I did, was everything, because after that there was just so much more confidence.
That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like it just took one. Sometimes it's what it takes is just one person to really believe in you, and coaches can really make a big impact on that.
Well, it seems like the phone call where he said, "Will you take me back?"
Yeah.
I mean, that maybe turned the tide a bit. Whether that was obviously probably was that the same season?
It was. So I'd quit there and had that conversation. He said I was gonna keep you. I was like, well, I didn't know that, and I was committed to my decision. So I packed my shit, went back home, played some AAA, and then I'm sitting there and I'm doubting it. And my parents were like, you should go. If you want, we'll call Wayne. Wayne was the manager. Then we'll call Wayne, see whatever. So they called Wayne. He's like, yeah, well, get Scott to call Blair. So then I called Blair, and that's where the conversation that you were saying happened, where he's like, he's oversimplified everything. It was awesome. He's like, do you still work hard? I'm like, yeah, I do.
But how impactful was that?
Nobody even called me a hard worker before. That was it was huge. It was huge. If he didn't give me any, if he during that conversation didn't, if he handled it differently, I wouldn't have been excited about it. I wouldn't have wanted to do it. And he understood. He knew that the kids were scared of leaving home, that those things all crept in. He saw all that coming. I actually just talked to him recently because I almost went out to Sycamoose for a 30th anniversary alumni game. Yeah. And I called him and talked with him because I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it. So I called and got kind of caught up, and he was telling me, he's like, because we got talking about this, and I was like, that really helped me, and now I'm coaching hockey for a living. Like that was big, man. He's like, I remember that vividly. Like he could tell you everything that happened there, and what he was thinking at the time, and it was all honest stuff. He was just he was great. I wish everybody could have met him, because then we'd be in on all these inside jokes too, because the way he would run a practice was absolutely hilarious. I was in line one time, and he's like, some guy was talking to me while he was talking, and it made me uncomfortable because I'm like, I know that. I was like, I should be listening here. I'm trying to make this team and stuff. And then I didn't want to be rude to the veteran that was talking to me too. Right. So I'm kind of caught in between. And then all of a sudden, puck hits me in the ankle. He rifled a shot at me. He holds his hand up to his neck. He's like, next one's this high. He's like, so I was like, fuck, this is a rude awakening to junior hockey. Yeah.
Well, he sounds like he was a good balance of, being able to be honest. I mean, that's such a big part of it. Like, you obviously felt when he had that conversation with you, he's not just trying to let me down lightly. He's not trying to sugarcoat it. He genuinely means, like, you're a hard worker. These compliments are authentic. And then it was able to actually sink in, and you could take that belief and move forward. Mm-hmm. It's an awesome story, especially, you mentioning how close you were to potentially just stopping playing hockey completely at that point. So that's super cool. Just want to ask you a little bit more about the vets that you lived with too, and maybe some of the support that you got from them. Like, obviously you mentioned they were kind of, the brothers that you never had, and you're fighting, you're doing all sorts of things that young men do. But was there some encouragement that also came from them during that time?
Very little.
But even just being there for you, right?
It was, because the one guy, Aaron Bott, he was like couple years older. He was the captain, so I was 17, he was 19, and he was just like he's a very regimented guy. He had like a part-time job in the city too, and he would and we had like this we called it lunch bunch, like noon hour ice that you could go to, so he would always go work and then go do that, and he just kind of like tried to be around him as much as possible. And then at home I would play video games or whatever, and I don't know, he was just he was great. And then there was one that was only a year older than me. We had same classes together. And then another guy that was a 20-year-old. And then a bit of a revolving door of other guys coming through. But all of them sort of had a different impact. I didn't get much out of the 19 and 20-year-old Aaron and we didn't talk as much as I did with Jordan, who was the guy that was a year older than me only, and we went to school together and we did everything together. But I don't know, just always tried to like get their approval and stuff. And then when you'd finally get it, like yeah, I don't know. I remember like my first hockey fight was like he just got on the bus and he just pats me on the shoulder. I was like, nice, you know. That's kind of like they give you that little bit every now and then that it lets you know you're doing something right. So, like I said, if you grow up with older brothers, you kind of have that along the way. I didn't, and I think it was really important for me.
Well, he just, you know, the captain especially seems like, you know, at a young age, he's demonstrating some pretty solid leadership qualities, because, you know, again, you don't necessarily see it all the time, especially with junior teams where guys are still kind of figuring out that dynamic and how to be a good teammate. You know, a lot of the times, you know, not always, but you have some of the older guys that get a little bitter towards the younger guys because they're nipping at their heels and potentially taking their spot or taking their ice time, right? So to hear about a guy who already had the maturity to, you know, be accepting of new players and treat them as, you know, one of you know, the guys, you know, I'm sure you could probably take. I'm curious, did you take some of that in terms of just the way he was as a captain specifically forward into your career?
For sure, yeah. I think that's the reason. Like, I followed him closely and everything, and then the next year I was an assistant captain in Sicamous, and I started doing like everything he was doing, the routines. He would go for a run around the farm like on game days, and like he would there's certain things I just completely followed, and I think he liked that I did that too, that I looked up to him, right? So he was, you know, and then after that I went to Dawson Creek and I was an assistant captain there. We had a young team, even though I was a rookie. I was 19, and then, I just tried to be like him. Like, he wasn't obviously playing Dawson with me. He was aged out and stuff, and he was playing college hockey already. But like, tried to just sort of took so much from that's the reason I think wore a letter in Dawson Creek and NAIT and Huntsville. It was just like he had a huge impact. So probably Aaron Bott, the captain there in Sicamous, and Blair, the coach, was the biggest turning point for me, for sure, in the career.
Sounds like that
lasted the whole way through. Yeah.
It sounds like you had an unbelievable support system, like other than the mentors on the team and the coaching, just like kind of your parental, like the parents in your life. Like you said, your stepdad was driving you 2 hours to practice. You had a billet family that had 5 players in there, so they're making a ton. Like the meals must have been massive. The laundry, like
a
lot of Costco runs.
Amazing. They butcher their meat and grow things on the
fresh.
It got big.
There was no like oven pizzas and stuff. Like it was great. She would make a huge meal because she had like 5 kids. And they all had kids pretty much, so little ones running up, which is funny because now they're the kids that I saw them like last year. They're like 2 and 3 years old, and now they're 17, 18 years old, and they're bigger than me. And they're playing with one of them's like was drafted by the Oil Kings. One of them's playing junior in Camrose now, and I'm like, it's crazy because they were just these little kids that couldn't even talk yet. But yeah, she would make a meal for like 25 people. It was like twice a day. It's crazy. Wow. We go to the farm. Joni DeWitt. But yeah, she was amazing. And then in Dawson Creek, I had amazing billets too that fed me really well, and like we still stay in touch. So yeah, like the support was great. You think about my dad driving me to Sicamous, like if he decided he didn't feel like adding 5-6 hours to every day, because it's 2 hours there, hour or so, or a couple hours for practice, right, and then a couple hours back, if he wasn't taking that extra 6 hours to 2 weeks at a time, he was doing that while I was sort of trying out. If he wasn't doing that, it wouldn't have happened. That would have been a wrap, right? And if they didn't encourage me to call, or if they didn't call Wayne, I don't even think I did it. They called Wayne, the manager, saying, "Would you consider taking Scott back?" Like if that didn't happen, maybe I would have played junior B the next year, but I don't think it would have been the same, right? So it was really good that they pushed me to do that, because I didn't have a ton of confidence to do that myself. Like I thought that was it. I didn't think I was anything special at hockey. And my problem was, like, during those later years, I didn't have the skill development stuff nowadays. Like, I was not on the ice once. I would golf and I'd go to a camp maybe in August for a week. Like, as a birthday present, I'd go to like a camp, but I was not on the ice at all. I didn't have anybody. I didn't have some of my friends would go to like some off-ice training with somebody, and didn't really have the money for that. And I could have done it myself if I had, and my parents sort of tried to push me to do that. Like, I'd still, shoot pucks and stuff, but like I should have been, going for runs or riding my bike up the hill or going to the gym more and stuff. And I just didn't understand how important the off-season training was. So I'd always kind of go into the year a little slow, and I just kind of fell back from, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, when a lot of the other guys that were more serious with hockey, probably you could say, they really took steps during those times, and they got got junior ready and all that. And I kind of had been discouraged, I guess, over the years, and didn't really have a good relationship with hockey. It made me nervous thinking about the season coming up. I wasn't excited about it, and part of that was the conditioning and stuff. So that's where, I guess, when I started, I said I would do things differently. Now I really understand, and through my time playing at NAIT, like, I just trained myself in the summer. I'd go run the River Valley stairs there, and I figured out what I needed to do, and I'd be very ready on my own. But when I was younger, I didn't know how to do that. And if I had done that, it would have been a better hockey career, without a doubt. So kids these days now, they have probably less excuses than I had, though there's still excuses, but like, they could look things up on YouTube. They could listen to guys like yourselves about what do I need to do if you're going to a nuance hockey session and you're working on skills, and Sean's teaching you the fundamentals of shooting. Then it's like, okay, now I can go take that and practice it on my own and beat it to death till it's ingrained in me, and I've learned it the right way. For me, I'm just trying to figure it out kind of on my own. Or you could ask, what do I do off-season training? And you'd have good advice. You got these, there's more good advice out there, I think, now.
Do you think, I mean, it totally makes sense, right? I mean, like, reps are important, right? Staying on top of it's important. Do you think there's a balance there, though, again, trying to weave in sort of the current hockey landscape? And I know, again, you're still active in the minor hockey coaching. And sadly, you do see that a little bit. You see some kids that have started doing hockey 365 days a year at 6 years old. They don't have the basketball that you had. They don't have the interest in golf. And there's that tipping point where, they're getting more reps, but, it becomes a job, and they're not getting enough time and space from the game. And all of a sudden they're burnt out and or kind of hating it by the time they're 15. It's a fine balance, because, I mean, totally agree with you in your situation. You're like, man, I wish I would have just got a little bit more there in the off season, right? Yeah. But at the same time, do you see that with some of the players where it's like, it's kind of swung a little too far, where now it's just hockey all the time?
Yeah, big time. I think the ideal training plan would be learning new skills in the off season, like picking up rims properly, and learn how to pass properly, and let the puck be your friend a little bit more than it was in the past season. And then off ice, like you're playing other sports. If you had like a soccer or lacrosse or something, like one of those high up and down the court kind of or up and down the field games where your conditioning is just not going to slip on you, and then doing like some obviously some off-ice training, plyometrics and weights depending on the age and stuff, and just balancing it though. But like, this being on the ice every day is, you have to keep that excitement, and it's not a linear path that some parents seem to think it is, where it's like more ice time is more development. I think that it's very, like, you got to keep the excitement there. So probably keep it like maybe 2 times a week on the ice in the off season, I would think is ideal. And mixing in other sports when you can. Like, I think a lot of people, as you get older, you say the same things. I don't think I'm taking a different stance than a lot of, like, you guys would. You probably say the same thing, like, play those other sports, like racket sports, and sports where you're using your feet, like soccer, and and other things that just make it fun. Because then when you go back to hockey, you're excited, and when you're excited and you're like interested in what you're doing, you find little details that you didn't find before. When you just go out there and you go through the motions a lot, then you stop thinking about the little details, like maybe the spin of the puck, or try a different move or something. Like, keep that excitement there by withholding a little bit of ice time, I would say. But at the same time, you got to get the reps, and that's why I say, like, you got to be doing something somewhat purposeful. Like, you know, maybe you go out and you spend 30 minutes working on picking up rims and stuff like that, and then in the last 30 minutes you're playing 3-on-3, unstructured, fun, you're trying stuff, nobody's yelling at you for trying a little backhand sauce play or something, where the coach during the season says don't use your backhand, but then in the off season you get to try those plays, and that's where it's the only way you're going to get good at it. So you have to strike that right balance where kids are having fun, and I do see some kids doing it. I've met some good parents out there, some kids I coach in Beaumont that one of this kid is technically almost perfect on the ice, and there must be
how old?
He was U11 last year. I think he's U13 now. Okay. He's a smaller kid, but and a few of his friends are the same way, and I went and ran skills 1 day a week for them in the summer and none of them are playing spring hockey, and there's and the funny thing about that is there's always spring hockey teams that need a player, so they can go sub in and play a weekend for free. But you're not committed to 8 weekends in a row of jamming your schedule and paying all that money. And like, the kids are developing fine. He's playing soccer, baseball, and going to the 1 skill session a week with me. And he's not the FOMO the parents get. This kid's not missing a beat. Don't worry about that. He's doing just fine, and he has zero stress on him. Zero stress from the parents pushing him. They just see that he loves these things, and they just they know how to strike the balance for him. And I just think that's the template. I would think there's too much pushing kids to get do you guys see that?
There's almost too much emphasis, like, 100%. They want to create a professional at like 10 years old instead of like, hey, let's develop a person, an athlete. Yes. Because it might not be hockey. It could be even going into business later in life, or another sport, or what. There's so many different possibilities, but there's so much of an emphasis, like, you want to be a pro now.
Yeah. And every kid's different. You know, some kids, you got to be really aware of your own son or daughter, or certain kid on your team. Some kids, you know, can skate 7 days a week, and that's all they want to think about. Yeah. And then a lot of kids need to have, you know, a balance. And like you said too, you know, you were having some unstructured environments growing up where you're shooting pucks on your own, you're having to learn some of these things, you're playing the street hockey with your friends and your neighbors, like, and you mentioned playing the game at the end of the session. I mean, I know from my side, and you might feel the same way, like when we're getting paid to go run a session, you know, you're always fighting that balance of like, I'm here to be doing drills.
Yes.
I really want them to have some unstructured time, but if I run a game for too long, the parents are going to be upset because I'm not really doing anything when I'm running a game.
What are we paying you for?
Right? So I usually err on the side of like, I'm here to run drills. I've got to do that for 60 minutes, but at the same time, also crossing my fingers, hoping that they're still getting that unstructured time at the outdoor rink or wherever it is. But if you're skating 2 times a day, 7 days a week, you know, kids have more energy than adults, but you're not going to be as hungry to go start playing a road hockey game if you've already been on the ice twice that day. Right?
I know. And I felt the exact same thing you're feeling with you need to teach something. Yeah. And the problem I find, like, I don't mind justifying that to parents, like why we're playing games. Yeah. And I think you can definitely find a way. You got to be creative on how you're making the games and making the point system, and quick to adjust it and stuff, so it's not really doing nothing sometimes, where you're making it the right. I remember going on the ice with you and I ran a session, or you ran it, I was supporting you, and it was cross and drops, and then you made a game where you had to have a cross and drop or a fake cross and drop, 2 of them before you could attack. And it was the perfect game for the thing. It was like, it was the exact practice you should run. You technical skill into the tactical of it, right? And there's a coach, the head coach of Michigan, Brandon Naranjo, who is obsessed with games. He makes everything, neutral zone regroups, he's turned into a game. He has a video on the coach's site about it, that he's made like everything into games. And I've heard like his practices are pretty much just games. And that is so interesting to hear. This like guy that's making, you know, probably almost $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
He's going out there playing games, but it's well thought out games that he's created for situations so that players can get these touches. But you do have to, what worries me is, or what is difficult, I guess, is like the discrepancy in skills. Right. And that's why you and I have to stick to individual skill drills a lot of the time, because you got kids that are, you know, going in, you know that if you get into a game, that kid's going to have it on his stick the entire time. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, and you guys probably both can answer this, it seems like the development of drills over the past, 15 years, it's become that, it's become, it's not just the do a circle, take a pass, go down and shoot. Yeah. It's putting the nets together back to back in the corner, having making the area smaller, so and such. It just seems that there is that game, not in game, but a game like mentality of going into these drills versus just the basic, here's a pass and shoot the puck kind of thing.
Yeah. You got to structure those to make it exciting for the players and make it worth something. Yeah, I helped. We were talking before we started recording here about Perry Pern, and I learned a lot because he and I've talked over the years now since I started coaching at NAIT, and he runs his Perry Pern 3-on-3 camp, and I took from that, like, he really structures it more than I do in my practices. Like with my NAIT team, I've always been a believer in games, but you have to, he makes it 6 minutes. He keeps score. He has he has the stats. He's keeping the stats and everything. And all of that makes it so much more important to the players. And the Perry Pern 3-on-3 game, if you're not familiar with it, it's the 3-on-3 in zone, and you clear the blue line, and then you're safe outside the blue line, and then you reattack. And the confines of that game has so many skills within it. And seeing NHL and AHL players playing that game was fun, because just to play away from the puck and how tight the lanes are, and just to have to break out of that blue line is so difficult against three guys that have good sticks. And so the amount of skills within that, and then he's confined it to 6-minute games, because he knows that when it's 6-on-6, you play 3-on-3, but you have, you're out there half the time, that's the right amount of ice time. So he's kind of, and then he gives the right amount of rest, and you play a round robin of that, and then you take your rest, and then you play a full 5-on-5 game. And it's just really you get the most out of the players when you're keeping score and you're keeping stats and you're confining it to the right amount of time. I've done it wrong so many times where you let the game go too long and players are just starting to work the perimeter and ebbs and flows, and you're like, hey, well, if I create the right rules structure, you won't see that. And if you start to encourage the right things and play the right games, and like you said, you make it confined spaces. If, okay, this game's not happening quick enough, let's confine the space, right? I've learned that from other coaches. Bruce Cassidy does it too. He has these power play games. He said, if your power play's not moving around quick enough, here's the game. You take the blue line in and you cut it in half, and you make it a little 5-on-2 in tight, and you're working on these PK skills of having the active stick, and you're working on your power play skills. They've got to move it quick because it's advantage for them when they do. And you doctor these things into what you want to see. Yeah.
Well, and every environment is so different. Like you said, if it's a group session where you've got a bunch of U9s and U11s that have come out, and you got that big variance of age and skill, you're going to have to set that up differently than if it's a team where they've been tiered, and you're still going to have a low and a high end on any team. But there's just different drills and different options that you have in different environments. So do you find obviously you're still doing skill sessions, and a lot of those, it's pretty fluid. You could walk into a situation where it's totally different than the next skill session. Do you find it kind of refreshing to be able to work with your team consistently and know, hey, this is what I got, and you're still mixing it up, you're still having to hit your systems, and I'm sure you're still doing some skill stuff with them, but do you find it kind of nice to not have the environment constantly changing on you like it does more often in skill sessions?
Yes. Yeah, you know what they're going through day to day more than the other skill sessions. I've got this high school group at Skona, and they might have had exams, they might have had they all play on different teams, so one kid's coming out there high stepping because he scored last game, and their team's on a 5-game heater, and the other kid's fucking miserable. So it's just like, at least we're all miserable. It's totally, you know what you're getting, right? And you're just got your finger on the pulse way more. No, that's the thing about skill development that I didn't see coming. I don't know about you, but like, just you get your kids are so, especially during the tryout times, like they're so stressed, or it's not as simple as you're just working on your shot here, and you see it right away. You start to get an eye for it, where like a kid misses his first pass or misses a shot, and he's rattled right away, and you're like, okay, what else is going on? What else is going on in your life that's making this such a quick?
Totally. Well, and to maybe build on that, like the other thing too with skill sessions that I find obviously is, you're there, and like you said, if you see a kid that's struggling, obviously you try to take note of that, and maybe not correct him as much and give him a little more space. There's adjustments that you can make, but then you're gone. You don't see him again until the following week at best, typically, right? Do you find that to be super advantageous? Like with your team, obviously you're around them a heck of a lot more. If you see that there's a guy that's, having an off day, having the ability to then, even just be at the rink for another hour after and have those opportunities to have those conversations and to meet with the players. I mean, I would imagine that's something that, a guy like you really values.
Yeah, that's it's a good point, and it's something I've had to sort of learn the hard way. I think like last season, I don't think I had enough individual meetings. And it showed like guys, their school slipped or whatever. So I've talked to other college coaches and see how they do it. And Bram Stevens is one of the guys I lean on a little bit. He's a really smart guy and well thought out. So I've asked him questions. He said when he was coaching at McEwen, he said he'd do every 2 weeks, and you have your individual meetings, and I was guilty of always wanting that to be perfect. Like if I was doing an individual meeting with a guy, I have some clips for him, and if I didn't have the right clips, I'd end up wasting time watching video and not doing it. And now with Instat, like I don't even prepare totally for those individual meetings. Sometimes I will if I need to show a guy here on the PK you're not getting it or whatever, but you just roll the clips. You say, hey, if you're not prepared, we'll just watch some shifts and see how your habits are, and usually it's good things. You're like, oh yeah, you're in good position there, and just commenting on their habits and stuff. But every 2 weeks I've started to be more organized and building a yearly training plan where I have every 2 weeks I've got my meetings scheduled in. They book in on a Google sheet of what time works for them with their schedule, and we sit there for 10 minutes. Every meeting's way different. Sometimes it's half an hour, 40 minutes or something. And you schedule that in, and it is a shitload of time because you got 24 guys times 30-minute meeting slots. You cannot take that lightly. Like that is your whole week getting soaked up. It is so valuable because you can get ahead of things, and then they have a chance to talk to you. Whereas that's where I lost the team a little bit more last year was, in my exit meetings after we had lost out, the guys are saying certain things, and I felt the team, needed to do this or practice harder or whatever, and they're not guys that are sewering their teammates or anything, but in a way you can kind of sniff that out when they are. Not you can tell what they're not saying. So anyway, you have those individual meetings, you keep your finger on the pulse of the team as you go, and you help them. They won't go out of their way to talk to you sometimes about a struggle in school, but then in the individual meeting you ask how's school going, and they say, oh fuck, like stats is killing me. So okay, we can get you a tutor. And they're like, oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, we'll get you a tutor. Alumni pays for that, don't worry about it, and we'll help you out. And you can really, they're people, man. Like they're, girlfriend dumps them or something. Like you, all these things matter, and having those individual meetings just makes you able to get a little closer with them, even if it's not hockey. So structuring that in, rather than just waiting to, for a player to come to you, or waiting to, for the first bit of practice, you're skating around a little bit, and you usually you talk to a guy about something, but what you'll notice is you kind of gravitate to the same guys. The guys are a little more outgoing and a little easier to talk to. You end up
a little more open.
Going to them because you like them better, and then so you structure in that time to talk to every guy, and I think it works. It's big for the development.
That's awesome.
Better, and then with the skill development stuff I do on the side, you just can't do that. So it's like you just gotta do what you can while you can, and try to seed those good messages for them and be a good role model. But there's only so much you can do.
Right.
How different is the college player that maybe you were or played with back a few years ago versus your athletes today? What are some differences or similarities that you see in your players versus when you played? And
they're mature, maybe more forward thinking than I was. I don't know if they drink as much. They're pretty good guys. I mean, they're funny. They're teaching us about cryptocurrencies and all this, like the fucking, that stuff,
all the modern stuff.
Like I don't know, we particularly this year seem to have a good group of guys, like easy to talk to, and they're fun. I mean, our school is like NAIT as a school has got a lot of trade programs and engineering programs, and I just noticed like a lot of guys that are really thinking about their futures and thinking, they want to play pro hockey after, some of them, but they're largely thinking about what they want to do in school, take power engineering. They want to live a certain life, and what kind of life does that lead me with shift work, but it's a lot of money, and they're weighing the pros and cons and constantly thinking about these things. Whereas when I was in school, I took business. It was a little bit vague, and I liked that because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't really put a ton of thought into what was next. I just was like, let's just get this degree and something's going to come. So it'll fall into my lap or whatever. I didn't really have as much of a plan as the guys I'm seeing now. I think they're a little more mature than I was.
The job market changed too a little bit. Like now it seems like it's tough to find something. Like I just know my brother, like he was in, I can't remember what engineering he was in, but it was like 2 years before he found something. Whereas if you get into a trade, you can basically start.
Yeah. And you're, when you enroll, being at a technical institute, you're 18 months away from getting into the workforce essentially. That's a quick turnaround versus, a business degree that takes 4 years. So guys are, for sure that seems appropriate to be nervous about what's going to happen after hockey.
Yeah. I try, it's a balance because you're trying to, I want guys to be in business because it's flexible for the schedule.
Sure.
The guys that are in like instrumentation, they're at school, like they're 8 to 4, and then practice starts at 4:30. So they're walking across the entire campus, and they got to be, and they're straight into a meeting with me, and then straight on the ice. It's like it's busy. That's some of the programs. Yeah. And then the other thing is you don't want to recruit a bunch of guys that are in 2-year programs, because then you're constantly turning over your team. So I do try to encourage guys to take a couple programs. Don't be in a rush to get out of NAIT, because we got a guy right now in welding, and I think he's developed so much in the last year that he is on a track to be, in his 3rd and 4th year, might be a pretty dominant player, and he's kind of getting there, and he's done his welding certificate now. So I think it would serve him well to why not do advanced plumbing now, or electrical or something, and have 2 certificates when you get out of here. And I think that would serve him well, and I think he is leaning towards doing that. And I think it's not just self-serving for me to do that. I think that for them too, they're going to be part of a dominant team if they stay longer, and they're going to come out of it with another certificate. Like, you're not going to go back to school very likely, so stick with it. Do use your 4 years. You can use up to 5. Get a couple things out of it. I'll continue to give good scholarship money and help you pay for that, and you get to keep playing hockey. So I really encourage guys to do that. And NAIT has I've seen guys. We had a guy that came in, took 1 year of power engineering, got a job with Dow, making 6 figures. Like, what better value proposition is there than that? You go to use, and he was a guy that was a U of A transfer, and was a good player for them. Was a great player for us. He, you know, we have. I guess it's different than university. University, you got to do your 4 years to get your undergrad, and sometimes that's not enough. You still have to progress to a master's, and before you're going to be getting a decent job. And at NAIT, there's a shortage of people in trades too.
Yeah.
In those kind of jobs. So I think that you're going to get a job out of it. You're going to. This is my NAIT plug.
Yeah.
Some high-end recruits, hopefully. Yeah, but you still can go play pro after. We send guys to go play pro all the time. So it's not, and we compete with U Sport teams in exhibition, and usually do fairly well. You know, we beat U of A this year. We lost to them the first game badly, and then we came back and we beat them, and that's huge for our program. And you know, it shows that we can play with those guys, and it shows that we have guys that are at that level that can go on and play pro hockey. And we have those programs that you don't have outside of polytechnic schools. We have petroleum engineering, power engineering, instrumentation, and a lot of those two-year certificates or diplomas that can really serve a guy well right away, and you will get a job. It's not a mystery.
Oh, that's awesome. And then in terms of the scholarship situation, is it player dependent? How does that process kind of work for you guys?
So the way NAIT does it, we fundraise our scholarship money. So there's a casino fundraiser that gets the bulk of it for our athletics department. We have a golf tournament that raises money. They have other endowments that they've been, investing in over time, where they've built up pools of money. There's a Alberta athletics scholarship that every school in Alberta, ACC school and U Sports school, gets a certain number. For us, it's 13 of those $1,800 scholarships. And then we have an alumni program. We have the best alumni program there is. The Ooks Hockey Alumni Association also has a casino. So every couple of years we get about $70,000 to $80,000 in that pool of money. So I have all these little scholarships that I get to distribute, and we can only go up to full tuition. So if tuition costs $6,000, we can't go above that, and we don't really have the money to do that anyway. So I just sort of working around and pay guys. And they, it's not always the best players make the most, but typically that is how it goes. The players that you need the most, you want the most, you offer them a little bit more money, and it's up to them to sort of negotiate and that type of thing. But it is one of those levers you want to be able to pull. So we try to fundraise the more scholarship money where we can, because it sure helps to be able to offer good money. And they have to achieve, the players don't get that money right away. They have to achieve a 2.0 GPA or better in a full-time program, stay eligible, and then they get their money. So they get it after they're just getting, in January they get their money for the fall semester, and then in April they get their money for the winter semester.
That's kind of cool. They have that accountability built in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there quite a bit of variance year over year? Like, you're obviously, like you said, pulling in from these different funds and areas. Mm-hmm. Do you have roughly the same amount each year, or some years is there a giant difference, and now all of a sudden you're trying to navigate, okay, I've got whatever X amount of dollars less, and now I have to rework how I'm going to, distribute this to my players?
Yeah, there is a little bit of variance. Like, I could blow that casino money, like I said, from the alumni. That's $70,000 that we get every couple of years. Yeah. So I have had to learn how to budget. I could definitely blow all that right away.
It's like a salary cap, basically.
So it is. But we're not capped.
But it's fluctuating too, so you don't know it could go up or down.
So I could blow all that right away. I could use that. You can use that for other things too. You can buy equipment for it's with AGLC, so you got to be careful. You got to look at what you can use those funds for. But we've used it for an exhibition trip before. Used about $10,000 of it for a trip to UBC. To help cover some of those costs. So you gotta, there's a lot of ways you can go with it. So you gotta try to balance it. And some players, they've got, it's always different with the recruiting. Some guys, it's hard questions to ask. and you can usually just sniff it out. You don't have to ask, but you get a sense of, you know, what their financial need is. Some players are completely on their own. They need that money.
Yeah.
They need to work in the off season to build a little money because their parents just aren't in a position to help them, or they just choose not to. And some players, they're living at home, they're local. And that's the beauty of Edmonton. There's so many St. Albert guys that or Edmonton guys that are just living at home, and for them the money isn't a big difference, because if they were to leave, if I offer them $4,000 and Sate offers them $5,000, but they get to live at home rent free, meal free all year, like that $1,000 is nothing. I'm saving them $8,000.
Is Ruben Board ever included in the?
No.
You guys can't. That's
Nate's building. So it's called the Blatchford land behind NAIT is being developed, and that will have residential living actually.
Okay. Nice.
In the years to come. But NAIT's one of the biggest schools that doesn't have residential living. So guys have to pay that on their own, and like I said, I can only go up to full tuition, so I can't start.
You can't offer anything else.
Paying with that. That's a league rule that I think almost every team follows.
Right.
Going back to the academics, so you got to keep a 2.0, which is I think very attainable as long as you're kind of showing up. Are there any resources you guys have? Like I know for me playing golf, we always had like a full-time academic advisor, tutors. I think making sure that the athletes always know that's available, because I know for me that helped massively, just to have an extra person to go to assist me through like picking classes or scheduling, just payments, whatever.
Yeah, we have an academic advisor, so when I'm recruiting players, I can set up a meeting with her, and she can take a guy from kind of like trades, like working with my hands, to zeroing in. Okay, well let's find something for you, and then from there we've got we fundraise money either through NAIT Athletics, or like I said, I have the alumni program, so we've got a little pool of money there, so we can find tutors for them, and I lay that out for them, and I say, hey, you know, if you need a tutor, get ahead of it early. We pay for that, as long as you're going to classes and putting in the effort on your end. We'll get you a tutor.
So I think for me, I always thought it was like a weakness to go like get help, but then once I started to get it was like, man, I was such an idiot.
Yeah,
like it's there,
not?
like it's provided for you, and they just want to help you.
It's just gonna save you time, is what I tell the guys too. It's like, it's not like maybe you couldn't do it on your own. Like you could cram for stats and figure it out, but a tutor might help. I remember I was allowed a cheat sheet for stats, and you couldn't even read it if it wasn't an engineer base. It was I wrote so many full examples out and stuff, and I'm like, the amount of time that took me, like if I had a tutor and if I went to the coach, because we had that available, I never used it. I could have gone to him and said, hey, because I just didn't feel, I'm like, I can pass without it, but I probably could have said, hey, can I use this? Can I get a tutor? And then I would have actually learned something rather than, you know,
I would legitimately
just jam the cheat sheet full. I don't think I remember as much as I would have if I had the tutor too. So that's a big problem with guys, right? Is not asking for help, and you hear about guys not wanting to obviously go to therapy and stuff, or admit that they're doing that kind of thing. It's not a weakness at all. Like you get ahead of that type of thing and get help.
That 1,000% for any student athlete, like get a tutor or something. Even if you're doing really well, it's just something to help like decrease the time, because you have limited time.
Exactly.
Your time's so limited. If you have this extra resource to help you, it's just gonna save you.
You're right. You're getting A's, but you're up till 2 a.m. That's not the best way to do it.
Yeah, finding that balance and being efficient, right? But I mean, I think a lot of it comes back to, like you said, those individual meetings with you are really a good way to open that door. I mean, you're the head coach. It's very important what you think about these players, and if you're able to tell them on a one-on-one basis, hey, it's good that you go and look for help. Like, I'm not going to look down on you. Like, I want you to access these resources. Like, that shifts the mentality. I mean, you're still going to maybe, you know, we've all been hockey players. We understand, like, you don't want to look weak in front of your teammates. But, like, the person they're probably most concerned about looking good to is you. And if you can set that tone, like, hey, no, like, I'm encouraging this. Like you said, it sounds like that translates into a lot more of those guys going and actually using those options. The question, going back to those meetings, how often, like, obviously you got to go through your video, you got to get to your hockey stuff, but how, maybe even just rough percentage estimate, how much of those meetings do you find is talking about non-hockey stuff?
At least half. Yeah.
Quite a bit, eh?
Yeah, maybe not at least half. Yeah, quite a bit of it is talking about the guy's game. They want to talk about their game and stuff. Like they like talking about it. Everyone likes talking about themselves, and you find some good things on video. They like watching their shifts, especially my approach. I'm not carving guys usually. Right. Actually, if I am going to call them out, it's in an individual meeting. I won't do that in team video very often, unless it is a team message, and I don't do that in a harsh way. You're not getting much out of that. You call a guy out in person in video, individually, I mean, and that usually... And I've learned how to just be direct with that too. It's like, this isn't good enough. You're straight legs in the D zone, man. Like that's, you're making everyone else do the work or whatever. Like that's, and they see that, and they can't hide from video. They see it themselves and stuff. But yeah, a lot of it is talking about those school things, and I always just ask, how you liking it? How you liking the team and stuff? And that's where you get those good conversations where a rookie's like, oh, it's so different than being a rookie and junior. Like, the guys here don't have egos, and, Whitford's helping me, or, like, Layer's such a beauty, he's helping me, and stuff. And then you just hear all those good things about the veteran guys, like, really that you wouldn't have otherwise known, that they're doing things behind the scenes. And you ask, how's the room and stuff, and you get perspectives from everybody, because in the past, I have like leadership meetings, so your captains and assistants, weekly you talk to them and you say, oh, how's the room and stuff. But like, rookies should have a chance to talk to you too about that stuff, right? Like, they should be able to say what they're thinking, and you just get so much out of that. And just learn what they're like as people. And it's like, you don't want to overcomplicate it. Just have these regular meetings. Also covers your ass too. There's coaches, like, I guess, like, it's a recent firing of a coach in the women's basketball world, where he hadn't documented his meetings and stuff, and our department, like our athletic directors, advised us sort of to have those things documented. So I've got the Google sheet, and I can say, like, if some player says, hey, I have a problem and coach isn't available, it's like, you had this meeting, you had these 7 meetings throughout the year where you had every chance to talk to me, and I always turn it back to them. Anything else? And then they'll be like, common one is, I didn't get my assist on that. That one there. I'm like, okay,
I need a point on this one.
Back and review the play. That's hilarious.
But it's good. It's a big part of it. You ever ask, you coach a team, and you ask, does everybody get it? Yeah. They always, nobody ever says, no, I don't get it.
They don't want to be the guy raising their hand.
Raises their hand and says they don't get it. So I was like, okay, we're good. Or the tutoring thing, I bring that up in front of the team and say, if you guys need tutoring, it's available, whatever. Nobody, chimes in there. They don't come to you very often, but you bring it up in the individual meeting, then they are way more likely to talk about those things.
You mentioned, the maybe upperclassmen being leaders for the underclassmen. That seems it's just such a good hallmark on the the NAIT program, is because some of those guys got maybe either the coaching or just the the way to do things from guys 4 years ago, 2 years ago, that weren't around. And it just I think it just goes to show you how amazing your program is.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and it's credit to like the guys that were, I guess I was a part of playing there, and you pass that on, and like, it was such a consistent thing. I was really lucky in my first year in the it was the COVID year. We didn't play, but then the next year we played in 21-22, and we had a lot of older guys, and they were great in so many ways, but they were the young players were all like just so shocked at how they're like, I'm not this, like rookie puke that everyone, like they're just punching bag right away, and like the vets are like grabbing pucks after practice and stuff. They're like, what's going on here? Like, it's such a stark contrast. I'm like, it's the NAIT culture, I think, and it's great. Like, you make it that environment, and people like being there. What our biggest success as far as an individual player was Jordan Paperny. He came from U of C and came to NAIT and had great success and helped us win a championship. He was an amazing guy. And after that, he was telling me I think it was partly because he saw his, like Logan Thompson was backing him up in Brandon back in the day, and was in the NHL doing well. He's like, why not me, right? So he started thinking, but yeah, having fun at NAIT. He's like, I started loving it again. I want to play pro hockey. I'm totally changing my mind here.
Wow. So
then after that, he goes and signs in with the Henderson Silver Knights, and he's been up and down, and mostly down on the coast. But yeah, like just that to me I was like, if I had even a little hand in making it fun for him and making him like the game again, like that guy now has started carving out a pro career because he's so
yeah, it's pretty cool.
You want to build that culture, and the players have such a big hand in that, so you have to be able to, when you hear from a rookie, this veteran was so good to me and has made my first couple weeks at NAIT here solid, then you got to make sure you're acknowledging that to that veteran player. Say like, you don't know how big that impact was when you just like said hi to that guy on the first week because nobody was talking to him or something. So
yeah, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
It's funny because Paperny, I've been on the ice with him a few times. He was, during that kind of transition period, he was doing some goalie coaching with Ian Gordon's program, and he was awesome with the kids, and he was great. But having a few chats with him, getting ready and getting undressed, like obviously there was a lot of influences, but I think part of it too was like, I can always coach later. I might as well, give this a try. Like the real world's always coming. Yeah. And it's kind of to the same point that you're making with some of your players that are taking the 2-year program. Like, hey, just do another 2 years. Yeah. You're not going to be working as quickly, but the real world is always going to be there. Like, enjoy this while you can.
Yes. And that's the like I said, we have a good alumni, and they're pretty involved, and they're around and stuff, and that's like right out of their script. They say like, these are the good old days. They always say that stuff, and some of these guys, they come out of junior hockey, man. I think 21 years old is young. That's how I feel now as a 33-year-old. But I'm like, they've got friends that didn't play junior hockey, so they go to college at 18 years old, and then they're moved on, and they're getting their business degree by the time they're 22 or something, and then they're going into their first year of their degree, and they feel behind in life, and it's like, no, this is just a different life. Just don't worry about that.
Totally.
Like, you're young.
Well, especially at NAIT with the alumni, like the connections you'll make, the business people that are involved. It's like there's a lot of connections for later, and you're building those relationships up while you're still kind of putting yourself, or you're testing yourself like every day, like you're to peak performance. Yeah, well, and employers love it because they're like, you're so, not just hockey, but any student athlete, like you have to battle a lot of things, and playing a sport on top of going to school is difficult. And I mean, Sean, you were a student athlete, like there's it's difficult, and you're always doing it for the team and stuff like that. So when you go in to get a job and you're in an interview, it's music to their ears to hear that you're a part of a team and you just get it, right? Like you understand sometimes you're going to have to, at a job, you got to get a project done or something, you're going to have to stay late and work 14-hour day or something. Like, for sure. Student athletes are like, okay, that's what it takes right now. And other people sometimes in this society, I think, are a little weak on that, where it's like, oh no, I signed up for 8-hour days and whatever. And it's like, if you're trying to be successful and you're a manager or something, you want those people that can dig in when you have to and just get it. Like, they don't say what's in it for me. It's not, it's like,
put this team first, right?
We've all seen it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's interesting because I think it was Taylor that asked you, just the contrast between the type of players you have now versus, teammates of yours.
Yeah.
Going maybe another generation younger, it's not every kid, obviously, but you do see, I certainly see on the ice, sometimes some kids that maybe don't handle adversity quite as well as previous generations. So it was interesting to hear you say, like, they are, a lot of your current players are very proactive. They're thinking ahead. They're, they're trying to plan life after school. Not that those two are correlated, but do you find that, as the younger players start to, become part of your team, that maybe some of them need a little bit more exposure to adversity, and that takes a little bit longer to buy into?
Maybe a little bit, and with the school and juggling all those things,
Sure.
sometimes those young guys, they're more likely to not hit that 2.0 and not get their scholarship money and stuff. So because of everything, this comes at you pretty fast. But I don't know. Typically, like they've already kind of grinded. Like they've played junior hockey. It's such a different contrast from like working with the young minor hockey kids. They haven't really had that grind as much. Like the junior hockey grind is tough in itself, and they sort of become a man through that time, I think, whereas like the minor hockey kids and people today, I don't know what it is. It's a combination of things, I guess, but you just see like they're on Instagram, they see, McDavid going through those Power Edge Pro things and doing a flawless rep. And what I notice is I'll put together something that's somewhat complicated, and you've got those kids where you're just, please do it right, because if they make that mistake, they're going to lose it, and they're mad at themselves, and it's like, oh my God, you tell them it's just it's painful. Like you're going to have to adjust if you're going 100% and you're doing punch turns and you've got to do this and you got to make a pass and receive a pass. Like the rep's not going to be perfect if you're not perfect through these, and you have to try to teach that as much as you're teaching the skill of getting better at skills as much as you're teaching the skill. Like 100%.
It's failure's okay, because also when you're seeing Connor McDavid do it, they're filming it, so they're not going to show when you screwed it up.
How many takes?
They should, but they don't. You're right.
Well, it's like I quit just like watching golf a little bit. Like when you watch golf, you only see the top 10 guys play their best. You don't see the guy that missed the cut and shot 79.
Yeah.
He's out of flight home on Friday.
Yeah.
Right? Like you only see the best of the best when they're performing at peak performance. You don't see the rest of it. Like when McDavid first did the drill, he probably screwed it up.
Yeah.
And then he did a few reps, figured it out. Then they filmed that one.
Yeah. Well, and they don't see them warming up either. They don't see like when you get on the ice, you don't just start going as hard as you can. And I see that with kids all the time. They go out there and they just try to like first rep, they're going so hard. It's like, just how about smooth it out and do it perfectly? Right. Like I try to be an advocate of that, like smooth and perfect, and be at 70%, and then like
drive up the tempo,
ramp it up from there. But like you have to like build in the brain pattern and knowing all like where to roll your wrists when you're wide stick handling and like how to do it absolutely perfectly at a slow speed before you ramp up.
Totally.
Is probably one of the big consistent things I see with these kids that want to be elite, and they're starting to get it, and like they can sometimes do those perfect reps, and they want to just do that all the time and like do it at this high tempo, and otherwise they don't feel good about themselves. And it's
the speed's interesting too, because again, that's where you're having to, or at least for me, tell me if you feel the same, but you're also thinking, again, parents are watching. If you do things too slow for too long, it's going to be like they're not working hard. And it's usually from the parents that don't have a background with hockey, which is totally understandable. Like, if I went and watched the football practice, I wouldn't have a clue what I was looking at. Right? I just wouldn't. And if it was faster, I would probably assume it was better, which is not necessarily always accurate. You want to have pace, but to your point, there is a time and place to slow it down, get the good habits, get the muscle memory, then start dialing up the speed.
Yeah.
But if it's a lot of slowness, sometimes people are like, man, like,
what's going on?
What are they doing out here? They're not moving enough, right?
But as a coach, it's your expertise is what you're bringing in.
100%.
Right? So it's whatever you believe is going to get the most out of them. Should be, I guess, the overriding factor for everything.
Totally.
Whether you think it's got to be slow or it's got to be fast, you're the expert in this department, right? So I know they may not get it, and you want to do things to sometimes appear in a certain fashion, but overall it's like your expertise is what you're bringing to the table.
100%. And it just, there is that consideration. You're still running a business, you're still trying to make a livelihood. You have to consider it, unfortunately, sometimes. Yeah. But there's that balance of like, you don't want to do anything that you don't morally or ethically agree with, obviously.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want.
100%. But the flip side of that is like, there's certain providers and whatever that will really focus on that. And
Making
now
it look good.
every piece of equipment you've ever seen advertised is on the ice because it looks busy. There's all these different things going on, and now you're focusing on what looks good to the eye in the stands that doesn't really understand. I don't think you and I ever want to go there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes you just have to consider your environment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I hear that. I think this, like, thinking about this has helped me just in this conversation. But, like, as long as you do ramp up, like, start with your passing and it's fundamental, and then you ramp up into more complicated drills, and you let the players know, like, we're going to get to some. You educate them, like, it's going to start slow, really fundamental. I want to see, like, precision. Be perfect with this stationary passing. Don't breeze through this. And then when we get into the passing drills later on, like, we're going to get to a point where you probably can't do it.
Right.
And you're probably going to make mistakes, and the reps aren't going to be perfect, and you set the table for that. You have a little more success. And you do got to ramp up. You got to get to that higher speed or more complicated drill or a game that's at a good pace, for the parents, but also for the kids for their development. Like, that's the right way to structure that, I think.
Yeah.
What about? Sorry, Sean.
Then you can translate it into a game.
Yeah.
Quicker, right?
Yeah.
So I know for me, and even, like, again, we talked about these kids are doing so much. Sometimes even if you give them the green light to go as fast as they want, they often still have an extra gear or two, just because they're not necessarily feeling like they got to put the pedal to the metal. So I don't know. The last couple of years, I've really started to try to implement it where it's like I add a chase component. So now it's like you got someone behind you that's going to steal the puck from you. And even if you thought you were doing 100%, you're finding an extra 10, 20% because the guy's chasing you down the whole time. And you don't want to get the puck taken from you, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a good call.
Yeah, there's just always those situations where, you have to consider all the different variables, but that's what makes it fun too.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask, like, for your guys now versus working with kids, and at NAIT, like, how often do you slow things down to at maybe a 70% pace and ramp it up to 100%, that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, we have Tuesdays and Thursdays we get out on the ice early. Tuesdays we do a D skill for 15 minutes. Thursdays we do a forward skill, and try to keep that pretty consistent. And for those, I'm not hounding the guys. It's kind of an interesting thing to watch because I never tell them to work harder or whatever, or maybe I'll say certain things game-like, or I'll add pressure to make them force them to go a little more game-like. Right. But it's their time, and they know that, so they kind of have fun with that. It's a little bit loose, but, like, the forwards will do it consistent, like rim it from the hash marks, net front guy pops up behind the net, picks it up, makes a play out front. So you're working on that rim pickup, and you're working on, and the goalie has a challenging shot he's got to face, so it's a bit of a goalie drill, and the guys like it, and then you add pressure, and then you make them add a fake and things, and you sort of progress into that's not all the skill development we do, but we make sure it's structured in, and it's a staple thing that they can expect all the time. And we've done it's I take things from work, especially those high school kids I work with, because they're closer to the age of the guys I work with, but, like, do, like, catch and release shooting, and I'll work on that Austin Matthews kind of, like, catch and release, both feet down, the way Bedard's shooting it, and I like pay attention to that stuff. And then we worked on that the other day with our forwards, and I used to think more like, they're set in their ways because they're already in their 20s, like, you're not going to change their skill sets, but you kind of can. Like, you work the drill correctly. You don't focus on 5 things. It's just, like, one thing. And I had them just skating, and you make a lateral pass across, and you catch it, and you're already set, and you're trying to increase the speed at which you're doing it. There's no handling the puck. There's no stick handling the puck. You're just catching it and letting it go, and you'll see them catch it and go over to one leg and shoot, and I don't want to see that. I want to see them doing it a certain way, and you can kind of ingrain that in 6 or 7 reps, and it just changes the way they're thinking a little bit. Or some of the drills we do where we pick it up off the wall with your stick, and I'm a big believer in picking up with your stick instead of your feet, so you can keep your feet moving. So we'll work on that, and then it just, like, even if their skill didn't get better, they're starting to think of it that way. So we do slow it down at least once a week for forwards and for D, and we try to throw in split skills one more time a week, where our D guy or my assistant coach takes the D, I take the forwards, and we work on something there as well. So.
How about for systems? Do you do some slow down sessions on the ice with systems, or you try to take care of that with video?
We slow it down sometimes where we go against coach pressure. Like one staple drill we'll do every 2-3 weeks is just revisiting the forecheck with specific routes, and we'll just have a little the forwards regroup with the D, and then the gain dump it in, and it is F1's on the first coach, and then the coach moves it, and F2 goes towards him, and F3's moving across, and D are getting up in the dot lanes and ready to shift, depending on where that first touch goes. And then I blow the whistle, they track back to D zone coverage. Okay, puck's at the net, and they're 5 on a dice, and then it's okay, puck's in the corner, and they shift into that position. Puck's up there, puck's there, double whistle, hard out, and they're just revisiting those fundamental habits that I think help them wrap their head around our system. Because as a coach, you run these 5-on-5. We run a 5-on-5 forecheck drill where it's live, and it's hard to pick up on these things, even watching it for me. So then you're trying to teach, and it's always nuanced and difficult to pick up, and you say, hey, back then in that situation you should have done this, and it gets tough in practice. Sometimes you can, and you can do a lot of teaching there, but a lot of that has to be done in those individual meetings, but I think it is good to slow it down and go back to those like fundamental structured forecheck, against no pressure, where you go, and what are your routes, kind of thing. Once in a while,
just to be able to engage.
I'd be interested to see what other coaches would say and how often they do it. Maybe it's not enough.
Well, you guys have been having some great success, so I mean, it sounds like it's probably a pretty good. But I mean, your mindfulness and your awareness, you're always trying to grow. Like, you've already talked a few times about things that you've changed from one year to the next. You're not, stuck in your ways. Like, you're always looking to tweak and get better, which I think the guys are very lucky to have a coach with that mentality. I'm just curious, you mentioned the individual meetings again. I was just thinking, you said your roster size too. You obviously have a few guys that don't get to play. That's tough. It's a tough position to be in. How do you handle those situations? Like, I mean, those guys are itching to get in there, and it's obviously just a different environment for them. And
that's the worst part of the job, man. Especially when it's guys that are doing the right things and just aren't quite there. Their execution's not there, and that's all you got. You just got to tell them. You got to tell them quickly. You don't beat around the bush. You tell them, just be honest. Tell them quickly, and shake their hand and tell them they're out, and whatever it is. I mean, for us, our situation that we're in now, it's not like there's a couple guys that are a far cry away from getting in. There's one defenseman that has developed. He came from junior B. That is a bit more of a project, where next year he might get in the lineup a bit more, and then the year after I think he's going to be pretty solid for us. He's 6'7", 274 pounds. Oh, wow. And if he can learn to skate a little more fluid, he's going to be... Actually, he's gotten himself down to like 250, but like LeBron. Big boy. He's a bit behind in his decisions and stuff like that, and he knows, so he gets, like, he's working on his game, and he's doing an amazing job with that. So he, there's that one's kind of he knew it going in, and that was one other thing I've learned is, like, tell them going in. If they're a fringe player, you tell them. So when you recruit them, they're not thinking, okay, I'm playing, there's 24 game season, I'm playing 20 of them. Like, no, you let them know the low end of what you think. Like Serge did with me. He said, I'd rather under promise and over deliver. When he told me I was going to be the 14th forward, didn't turn out to be the case. I was closer to 10 maybe. But he was honest with me right away, so I knew what to expect. And you got to do that right away, lay the groundwork, and then when you tell them later on, it's a little bit more clear. And guys get it. They know where they are, and if they don't, you got to support it with video. But no, some of those conversations have been tough. Like, I've had times where I've had to sit out, guys that think they're these power play guys and all this stuff, and they're actually hurting the team, and it takes a little while for me to really wrap my head around that, because you almost like you want it to work for them and you give them all these opportunities, and then you got to be honest eventually and be like, this is not working and he's not putting in the same second efforts as other guys. I have to tell him, I have to sit him out, or I'm going to lose the rest of the team. Right. And once you learn what's at stake in the fact that if I keep giving this guy opportunities, I'm losing the rest of the guys. Once you know that's at stake, it's easier to make the decision. It's so much easier to be like, hey, you're out, because you know that that can unravel. So I've learned that the hard way.
So, like, what can a player do? Say you're out of the lineup. Like, what can they do in the meantime to kind of help, prove that they might be deserving of some more ice time? And
practice. Yeah, you can earn it there in practice. And right now we've got a couple guys that are out, and they're not out for long periods of time. We're getting them back in. We're sitting other guys out, and it's a bit of a revolving door because it is close. So all it takes is an injury or a subpar game from one of those, lower down the lineup guys right now that they're right back in. So they earn it in practice. I remember, you kind of have to set that groundwork too. Like Monday we work out or practice, and then Tuesday is a pace practice where I don't have them in lines. It's just two colors, and we do 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, a lot of up and down the ice drills, and I've told them before, like, hey, it's not clear to me what the lines are, who's in, like, and then it's kind of all you need to say, and then you see those guys like executing a little bit more in practice, and they're pushing just a little bit harder, so you kind of have to let them know what your process is. And then Wednesday you come in and you post the lineup, and the guys, they know if they're out, they're not on a line, and then you want to talk to them, though. You don't want to just post that and leave it usually, right? You bring them in and talk to them. As hard as it is, you gotta keep doing that, and it gets easier as you do it. Same thing with goalies. We have a 24-game season right now. We have 3 goalies that can all play. That's not a lot to spread around there, and you don't want to coach to your lowest common denominator. You got to say, okay, well, this guy's our starter. Like, what does he need, right? What does he need to be ready for playoffs here? Rather than thinking, okay, I got to get this guy his game and whatever. No, you just got to tell them they're grown men, which is great, and I'm really lucky. I don't have to deal with parents chiming in with their 2 cents.
Yeah. Right.
I am dealing with the player. I've been here 5 years. I've not dealt with a single parent saying, hey, why is my kid not playing? I haven't had any of that. The players might come to me and have those conversations, but it's man-to-man, which is really something I value.
Have you ever heard of a parent calling up a college hockey coach and trying to...
Well, it happens.
I'm sure it does. Yeah, no, I haven't had it.
That's a good thing.
Touch wood. It doesn't happen to you.
I guess the worst would be like a donor, and all of a sudden, it could be weird at some point.
Yeah, that's the junior hockey thing too. Like the head coach, has to run the lineup by the GM sometimes. And the owner's doing this, or the owner's got a kid on the team, and you're like, he has to play power play. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And it's just crazy the stuff that can be involved, and parents just not seeing it from an objective lens. Like, that must be tough.
Well, you mentioned in junior you had unannounced to you, your parents called Sicamous, the manager there, but they gave you the hey, this player should reach out to the coach. Where do you think the line is in terms of parent involvement, and at what level maybe too, just in terms of kind of just what we're talking about? Sometimes there can be some parental influence, or when as a parent, maybe when do you have to draw the line of letting my child figure out for themselves?
Well, I think it's hard because when you talk to junior coaches, when I'm recruiting and I talk to a junior coach, they're always saying, oh, this player's great, you're not gonna have any problems. You're speaking coach to coach, they know exactly what you want to hear. So they're like, yeah, you're not gonna have problems with him. Comes from really good family, really like his parents. So that tells me obviously the parents are dealing with the coaches in junior, and it's part of their recruiting process. So when the coach in junior, if you're coaching the Spruce Grove Saints or something and you're talking to players, you get to know the family along the way, because their family has every right to know the coach and stuff. Their parents should, but then it should stop after that. Once they're on the team and they're there, it should stop. But as a parent, you want to know a little bit about the coach, make sure he's a good person. So you've got to have a conversation with him. And you've got to make sure that they are in a good situation, that your kid's going to a good situation, so they should be involved with that. Once the kid's on the team and he's playing, unless there's a massive injustice, I don't think there should be any stepping in.
Right.
Maybe even if there is a big injustice of, this player's leading the team in scoring and he's never on the power play or something like weird like that. That is just, and there's an owner on the team, the kid on the team that is on the power play ahead of him, and it's just like anybody can see it, like something like that. Then it's like, even then, just a player walks in, why am I not? You get the player to deal with that, even if they're 18 years old, because you got to learn those skills. Yeah. So your parent can advise the kid what to do, but no coach is going to want the parent to call them. They're going to want the player to tell them, like, well, you're going to just hurt your kid because your coach is saying, why can't this guy, he's 19 years old, he can't come fucking talk to me? I got to hear from the parent, like, what's wrong with him? Now you're pissed at the kid almost for that. And then if it's really bad and it's a really big injustice and the coach is not, calling it fairly or giving guys the right ice, then you just ask for a trade. Right. And again, the player asks for that trade. Right. I don't see a lot of examples where a parent needs to step in. You're taking away a life skill. It's so much to, being a person and having tough conversations. You're just going to have their tough conversations for them. It doesn't make any sense because it's part of the development.
Yeah.
I think the only time that might be a good idea is if, like, say your parent doesn't know anything about hockey, maybe a coach could be reasonable, like, hey, what can I do at home to help, that, maybe, food prep or he needs this with rest, like that might be the, I'm guessing this is the very low, I'm guessing this doesn't happen too often, but that would be, I think, the best case.
Yeah, that makes sense. But that's asking the coach his opinion. Everyone likes to give their opinion, so that's a different thing. That's a good point. I guess if that's not really intervention, probably though. Usually that's probably not the case.
It's probably not, unfortunately, but that would be, I think, something maybe parent, if they're gonna do anything, that would be it. Like, what can I do to help facilitate this in a better way?
Yeah, no kidding.
That's a really nice, clear line that you set out, though. Yeah. It's like, it's totally understandable that parents want to get to know the coach. That's valid. That's totally reasonable. They want to be able to commit to a place where, they feel like their son or daughter is going to have the best possible opportunity. But once it starts, that's when you gotta back off. Yeah. Right. And it totally makes sense. And then, I think all the examples you gave are really great too. It's like, how often does the parent stepping in, especially at junior and college and, anything past junior levels, does it ever really make it better? I mean, it really doesn't.
Hard pressed to find an example. And if it did, it wouldn't long term, like in short term, it might make it better. But again, you're taking away that tough conversation from a player that they have to learn how to have.
Yeah, the life skill you mentioned is massive. Yeah, like just not even for them as an athlete, just as a person.
Yeah, totally. Whatever it is, work, relationships. 100%.
Yeah, you got to be able to communicate.
Well, that's a cool thing about hockey. Like, again, going back to why people who are hiring for the workforce like to grab,
It's probably another reason.
Yeah. I mean, it's like they've had to go through these different life skills and get to a point where they're comfortable, dealing with these things, right? Yeah. So, that's awesome. So you mentioned you put the roster out on Wednesday or Thursdays, or was it
Wednesdays usually? Wednesdays? They know. Yeah.
And is that pretty much every week? And I'm just curious, the timing there. Why have you chosen Wednesday?
Because that's when we start doing team drills. Gotcha. So you need to have them in their lines. Yeah.
That's what days of the week do you typically play?
Friday, Saturday.
Always? Okay, so that's why it's Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's Wednesday. Yeah. And in college, it's pretty structured. I've learned to keep it that way, like where it's, the Tuesday, if we practice Monday, it's more skills. If Tuesday is going to be the pace, 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, like I said. Mm-hmm. We're a lot of skating up and down the ice, and it's tiring practice. Then small area games and compete and stuff. And then Wednesdays, that's where you're doing that forecheck drill I'm talking about. And and then you're doing some special teams, and you're starting to talk about the opponent you've got that weekend. Yeah. And Tuesdays, you're not going to hear about that. Wednesday, you're going to hear, okay, we've got Augustana. They go triangle +1 on the PK. So they've got, they go really aggressive, so we're going to look to hit this high seam, and you start telling your power play what you're going to see and start zoning in on the team you're playing a little bit. mostly on the special teams front there. And then the Thursday, you're kind of always the same Thursday, where it's a lot of touches, feeling good type of drills, but you mix in a little 5-on-5, and you touch on anything else you wanted to work on through the week. Power play wasn't clicking on Wednesday practice, you hit that again. So that's the massaged out day a little bit more.
And how about goalies? Wednesday as well?
I didn't think about goalies. They should be a different room. No, I'm just kidding. We have a Wednesday, every other week we have a Wednesday goalie ice. They go out there with one-on-one with Jamie McKeag. He's fantastic. He's good with the psyche of it too. He helps them. He's incredibly fun person to be around, so he's good for them in that aspect. They always leave, standing an inch taller kind of thing. So they meet with him. 3 goalies, so half hour each or 45 minutes.
And choosing the starter too. Does that come on Wednesday?
I sometimes don't tell them till Thursday. That's one where I could probably tell them sooner. And I lean on the goalie coach a little bit for that, because I'm not the expert, so I watch, see what he thought of the goals. Like, is that weak, or is that something he should have? And oh no, that's not his fault. He's he played well, even though he gave up 5. He looked great and stuff. So I lean on him as the expert there, as well as the recruiting of the goalies and stuff. I don't want to pretend I know things that I don't, right? So, and I've talked to him about practices. What type of stuff do we need to do? Like, sometimes the first drill is more about the goalies than anybody, right? So they're getting proper shots, and man, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it, especially at our level. Like, I've got equipment manager and athletic therapists and all this stuff, and you're sort of head coach and GM, and you're the only full-time person on the on the staff. Like, everybody else is part-time, and finding people to do it for volunteer positions almost, right? So it's tough to manage.
Is Sunday always a day off then after the game Saturday? Always? That's So they always have at least a break in the week.
And that's their mandated
school day. No, we suppose we could practice if we wanted to grab some ice or something, but
it seems like the week's long enough.
They got to do their school, and they've got to recover from the pint the night before or whatever.
Might have some slow skaters on Sunday if you
get back-to-back games already, and you might be traveling and coming back, so it's nice to have that extra day to catch up on life and whatever it needs to be.
So
the break seems very important.
I told them beginning of the year, like, get in the habit of having a good Sunday. Like, it's setting up the rest of your week. Right? Some of them live on their own, so they got to make some meals ahead of time. Some of them, they're in tough programs, and they got to get ahead of it. And
that's one of the awesome things about college hockey is you have such a opportunity to stamp in a routine week over week simply by having your games on Friday and Saturday. Obviously, if you're on the road, it changes a little bit. You got to add in travel, but like, to be able to lay that out, not have a Tuesday game here, a Thursday game there, like, it's pretty unique and awesome that you can just dial it in and fine tune it like that.
Did you guys play Friday, Saturday too when you were at Brown? And was your schedule somewhat the same? Sounds like.
Basically, it's very similar to what you're doing. I can't remember when rosters were put out. Maybe Thursday, maybe a little later. But I mean, again, you just get in that good rhythm because it's not really changing. Which is fantastic. I think the interesting thing here, again, kind of weaving it into minor hockey is, and it's great. It's great that so many of these kids, you need to have a dream. You want to play in the NHL. I mean, who didn't as a little kid, right? Like, that's why you do it. But I just love that we're talking about how you have this option in Edmonton, but hopefully, other people outside of Edmonton can look at it as an appealing option as well, where you can extend your hockey career, get an education, join a program with a great reputation, have coaches like yourself that are, so passionate and care about the players in the program. And it's just a message I hope gets out there that you can still have a successful hockey career. It's not NHL or bust.
I know.
So many young kids, again, there's that balance. Like, have the dream, want to be McDavid, but don't give up just because you're not going to make the NHL.
And that was my Blair Robinson thing, where he was like, "Oh, you definitely have a future in hockey." Because he's like, "There's something there if you want it, right?" And then there's like, you can go play. Like, I could send guys, some of our better guys, I could send them over to play in the France Division 1 league or something, and then you're out there, and you might be grinding it out a little bit, but then you go move on to, if you have a good year, you could move on to the top league out there. I know Div 1 sounds like the top league, but in Europe they're always named like the Ligue Magnus is the French league, and so you maybe go move up to that league, and then you're making okay money, and then you're, you guys know how hard it is to travel when you're established in life, and you've got bills and all that stuff. Like, it's hard to go carve out a month to go travel Europe, so you do that while you can. You're getting paid and having that experience, like that's pretty cool. So like you can come to NAIT, do 2 years, get your power engineering, go play pro or something, and like this you have no chance of making the NHL probably. But there's so much else to it. There's so many other things you can get out of that. But and for kids to set out for the NHL, like, you don't have to explain it to them right now. Like, hey, there's all this other stuff. Like, just let them have that, and they'll learn along the way. And I don't really believe in telling kids to try to be realistic and stuff. Just let them go.
I think it's more for the parents at that point. It's just like, hey, like, you got to be the mature person here. You got to have realistic expectations. Have the dream as well. Want your kid to play in the NHL, but just also realize, like, hey, there's so many other ways they can still have a successful career.
And anchoring onto one thing and going for that, like, you learn other things along the way. I remember hearing, like, I'll have a plan B and stuff, and it's not. You can, and you can have a variety of things that you like doing. Like, you play golf as well. Like, you're big on that. Obviously, you played high level golf as well. So it's like, you do those different things knowing that your kid's probably not going to make the NHL. But like, if he pursues the NHL as hard as you can, and you're going to the gym in the off season, and you're practicing, and you're playing other sports to complement this and stuff, like, you didn't make it, but you got in incredible shape, and you became very good at hockey, and you learned how to get very good at a skill. Like, now you're 22 or something, or 20, you're mid 20s, and you're done with hockey, and it's like, did you get nothing out of that because you anchored onto one specific goal and didn't get there? Like, no, you got lots out of that.
Well, even just commitment and focus.
Exactly. Now you see, like, once you understand the way broadly you see it in all things, you can now say, okay, I want to zone in on golf. I want to try to become a scratch golfer as a hobby.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, well, I know how this worked when I was a kid and I was playing hockey, and I had to learn how to, not just hit 300-yard drives. I had to learn how to pick up rims, and I had to learn how to deal with what actually happens in the game of hockey, not just the shooting and the fun stuff that you see. So then now you learn that, you think about that, you translate it to your new hobby. It's pickleball or golf or fucking whatever like you want to do, and you start to understand how to get better at things.
Totally.
Because you pursued one thing.
And you have to fight adversity and learn how to battle through that.
Totally.
There's so many different
team sports
things that are super important for later.
100%. So obviously golf's come up a couple times, and we all like to golf.
Yeah.
Matt's in the business every day. When did golf get on your radar?
Like, I was golfing right away, 2 years old. I was whacking things.
Easy for you guys out there too,
Yeah. And my dad and my stepdad, both big in golf. Still are, and I loved it. I mean, talk about how expensive some sports can be. It was like $250 to be a junior member, and you golf like
a lot of times
60 times. It's like, what
it's
a
still
deal.
Usually that price now. Like, usually it's never above like $500.
Yeah.
Usually a lot of I mean, sometimes the equipment cost can be a little bit to get in, but if you're like, say you're not trying to play in tournaments, for example, like you can get a decent set for under $1,000.
Yeah.
Whereas like hockey equipment
will last you 2-3 years or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, especially once you've grown to like fully grown, like it can last. Especially if it's just like a recreational thing. Whereas, sticks, I don't even know how much sticks are now, but you could go through just like a couple $1,000 within a year if you're a certain
whole
kid.
hockey gear. Well, and skates, like your feet aren't gonna stay, and you gotta get the skates is probably the biggest one nowadays. But
I had that marked down, equipment budget, but we can leave that one because it's probably a scary thing for you having to deal with all the numbers.
A little bit,
how much
we're well supported with NAIT. That's not just my political answer. That's real. Like, as far as other schools and stuff, we have unlimited sticks. I have a budget to work within. I won't give that number, but But it pretty well allows unlimited sticks for the guys, and that's the team stick of we're Bauer. We've decided to go with Bauer, so the team stick for them and the league deal we get, it's $140 ish. It's not the $400 sticks.
That's huge,
right? So that's well more manageable to deal with. But they're folding, working on skills, and you do some one timers, and 3 guys fold the stick.
Yeah.
Just feel the money coming out.
This is going to be a tough one-on-one with my athletic director.
That's why your equipment guy's like, hey, you only get 2 sticks.
I know, and then
it's probably tough that way too.
It's tough, man. That's what I mean by I've got good support. Like my assistant coach, again, it's not a full-time role, and he handles most of the stick stuff. He's the one driving by St. Albert Source for Sports to, trade in and all the other stick and deal with those conversations and I wear a lot of hats, but I've learned to kind of delegate a few of those things, and he's taken one of those things, and that's a big thing for me, taking that off. And our equipment manager, he's got a lot to think about, but he's doing those types of things too. And a guy wants to, you order 6 sticks for him, and then he's like, oh, I want to try the max height blade, and you're like, okay, so now what are we gonna do? We got to find those sticks, and sourcing that, and talking to the rep, and trying to trade in, and it's a lot.
Are there a lot of schools that you do have to pay for your equipment still?
I think some of them they might say you get 4 sticks or something, or 5 sticks, capped. And that's it, or you're capped in some way, or they just don't have the money to be buying brand new everything every year. So, but it is one thing I have to manage. Like I can't go. Like we'll do new bags one year, and new gloves you got to get every year, but maybe new pants or new practice jerseys or whatever. You can't just do everything refreshed, brand new every year. You kind of have to play that balance a little bit. But like I said, we're well supported, and if I go over budget a little bit, which I did last year for the first time in my 5 years, I went a little bit over, and we just compensated that with the alumni paid the difference, a couple grand that I had gone over. So
Well, we're getting close to wrapping up here. Maybe just to kind of finish things up. It's been awesome to hear so many insights from you as a coach, but maybe talk about the championships that you won as a player. I mean, we definitely want to just kind of touch on that, because I think it was 3 and 4 years.
The first year. Again, rookie, Dawson Creek, we never even made playoffs, and Sycamoose, we never went all the way with good teams. But we'd finished first that year. SAIT was probably kind of like on paper a better team though, and we got the first round bye. We won our first round after that, and then we're playing SAIT, and I just had this. I'd never won anything really, maybe besides the odd minor hockey tournament, and just like, I don't know if I believed in it yet, and we just it was best of 5. We won game 1, we lost game 2, and then the next weekend you play 3 if necessary, and we won at home, so we're going down to SAIT with the chance to do it, and we went to overtime in that game. I actually took a fucking penalty in overtime. Holy,
that's the
longest 2 minutes that. I was on for the goal that we scored to win it. I didn't set it up or anything. I chipped it off the boards. Fucking got buried or something. But then we won, and it was just unbelievable. The next year we lost in SAIT in the final, and the next year we won in SAIT in the final, and that was a special year for me being the captain. That was one of the biggest honors, is like voted by the players, because it was voted by the players. I felt really good that they wanted me there, and then so we won that year, and then the next year Serge built that team for 3 years, and then he moved on to the U of A, and our assistant coach Mike Gabinette, who is now the head coach of University of Nebraska Omaha, he's Claire Drake's grandson. So he was he came in, and I'm sure for him, like, I know what it's like now being that young head coach. Like, it comes at you fast, and there's a lot of things you haven't thought of probably, but he did a good job and was really consistent. And he had Billy Morris, who was Claire Drake's good friend, and he was up eye in the sky giving a mentorship every day to Mike and making sure he was ready. And like I said, like Serge had built that team. We were a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
We brought in like less than a handful of new recruits. One was a guy that came out of like pro hockey, a couple like high-end junior guys, and we were just so dominant. Like we had locked up first place with like 10 games left almost. It was maybe not that many, but it was like
that was the
we went
undefeated
32 and 0 in the regular season.
Wow.
And we lost to University of Calgary, and we lost to Mount Royal. We lost to Mount Royal in our first exhibition game in overtime. Then we beat them the next night. We beat U of A, UBC, U of S, lost to U of C, but we won every regular season game and every playoff game. And then the playoffs came fast and up. So we got the first round bye, and then we played Red Deer, and we swept them in the best of 3 comfortably. And then we played Augustana, who had a good team too. With that undefeated year was crazy. Like we had some comeback wins, some overtime wins, like overtime where they hit the post, and you know, like crazy. To go undefeated, it's got to be a little bit lucky too. But then in the finals, it's game 1 at home. It's a tight game. We're up 3-2, I believe it was. They scored with 12 seconds left in the game to tie it up. So we're riding an undefeated season. We're about to go to overtime, and we win that one in overtime. And we're just like, never a doubt, boys. Yeah. We knew it. Yeah, right. Everyone's terrified. And we win that game, and then we again won 3-2 the next night in Augustana. So like easily could have lost. Every time we played Augustana, we could have lost. They were so deep and good that year that it was just, I don't know, we were skilled and had like a really good team on paper, but still there was something else to it, right? Like we loved being around each other.
Totally.
We would get to practice so early, and we played sewer ball. It was like my favorite part of hockey. It was like warming up, doing that. And then every time there was a team party, like just about every guy was there. Right. Like it was like nothing I'd ever seen. Like normally that's not the case. There's cliques and stuff like that. There was none of that. There's guys that had their best friends and stuff, of course, but it was pretty wide open invite all the time. And it leads to what you're saying. I think we carried that culture around into what it is today, kind of just from veterans, always having veterans that pass it on to the next guy and have that kind of culture. Which makes NAIT special.
Totally.
I think sometimes it's just the moments with the team that are kind of what you remember the most.
Yeah.
At least for me with team sports, like that's what I remember the most for sure. It's like bus trips and being on the road, whatever, stuff like that. Yeah,
much more than on the ice stuff. I can't remember much from on the ice, honestly.
Just the big moments, obviously.
Because I didn't know what was going on. Gretzky remembered everything, and I'm like, fuck, what does that say about me? I don't remember.
I think we had to talk real quick about, I guess, your transition to playing professional hockey. How that turned. Maybe talk about the recruiting process, and maybe, you know, like a memory you had, maybe first game or something weird. I'm sure something weird happened down there.
My last year when we were playing, I had the number of us wanted to go play pro in Europe, and we found a team in France that was going to take 4 of us in Paris, Courbevoie or something it was called, a town just outside of Paris. And we're like, oh, this will be sweet. Our friend had played there before, talked to the team, got set up. There was 4 of us who were going to go live together, so you'd have your guys you're comfortable with. That team folded. 3 fucking teams. That team folds in the summer. I ended up finding a team in France to play for, and so I went out there. It only lasted like a week. There was no North Americans on the team, nobody I could speak English with. I regret that, kind of. I've never been back to Europe since. It was one of those things, maybe I should have stuck out. It would have been more fun in the end, possibly, but couple of my friends that I was going to go with, they ended up going to Huntsville to play in the SP, and I came back from France without the intention of going to Huntsville, but that coach just kept calling me, and he was interested in me, and I was like, well, I don't have a job, and that's a job, and unfortunately I kind of treated it like a job. I wasn't really that as invested as maybe I could have been, and I wasn't like an actual pro. I'd kind of thought, maybe that I should have stayed in Europe and had those doubts and stuff. So I was took me a little bit to like fully buy in, and I had a surgery that year on my elbow too, so I missed quite a few games. But really good experience. Like, that team is amazing for that league. Like, they've recently, like, I'm following them on Instagram. Like, they're selling out like 30 games in a row or something. Like, it's crazy, the fans there. Like, they don't know what an offside is, but they want to see fights.
Totally.
It's like they love it in Alabama, and they think you're in the NHL, so they treated you so well. We had like so many deals. Like, we had like free chilies until they told us to kind of like relax on that. So then we had like half price at a few different places. There was bars that had penny pints.
Oh, jeez.
Quarter pitchers. There was deals you could get that were out of this world, and then we had free golf at 2 different places. So we played a fair bit of golf, and a lot of the guys like that. So that was, only making $300 a week, but you don't pay rent and all that stuff.
Still get a good experience out of the whole thing.
And the hockey's good. It's only getting better. Used to be a bit of a jungle, like, but yeah, I don't know. It's a grind, man. A lot of buses breaking down, a lot of getting jumped by tough, big lefties. So, didn't see that coming a couple times, man. But it was good. Could have done that for a while. That was a fun time, but I was happy now that I didn't, because I got into coaching pretty well right away.
How'd that come up, awesome. Like your transition to NAIT as a video coach to start with?
I knew I wanted to do it. Even when I was playing in Huntsville, I had told my coach that, like, I'm not coming back. I want to get into coaching. And then I did, right away I didn't get the job with NAIT, actually. They had a different guy that ended up moving on to a different job. So then they sort of backfilled it with me. But yeah, I was just working with Labatt as a merchandiser. Right, I had a job, and then Nate said we could use a video coach, so I went and did that. I was actually bartending at the same time, so I had to cut down the bartending shifts. Right. Went and did video coaching, so I'd go to every practice, and I was the eye in the sky guy, giving my 2 cents between periods, but clipping video and stuff. And I think that helped me to do that for 2 years, because you have the best seat in the house, like watching down on games, and you can really see how things are going. So you're watching a lot of hockey from up top. I would go home, watch a lot of hockey kind of thing, NHL hockey, and learned a lot that I think a lot of guys that get into coaching probably think like, fuck, wish I knew this when I was playing, or I wish I saw it this way, because you're not thinking about all positions when you're playing, you're just thinking about yours. So so did that, and then was lucky when Belsey had moved on. I took the assistant coach job. That's when I met Sean, started working with you and Dustin with the CK hockey at the time there, doing skill development as much as I could to supplement the income. And then that was only 1 year, because then I got the head coach job. The COVID cut that season off right before playoffs, and I got the head coaching job, which was 28 years old. It was before I was ready, for sure, honestly, but it was thrown into the fire with that.
It's pretty awesome to go back to where you played and won 3 championships, and then to climb the ladder that quickly. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it was.
And both of you guys have been talking about, to have a direct connection to the culture that was so successful that you guys had when you were playing. And being a captain, and to then still be there in a position as the head coach, like, it's very cool.
Thank you.
Was it awkward at the start, though? Like, because I'm guessing there were some guys you'd played with that you're now coaching.
When I was assistant coach, but when I was head coach, there was no overlap. Done. But no, we had a guy. Like, I was so lucky. Like, you talk about Perperny. He would. It was obviously I wasn't running the best practices, or certain things that I lacked from not having like any experience, right? So, but they always gave me respect, and when those older guys did, it helped. Like, I was 20. I guess the first year we didn't play for COVID, so I was like 29 years old. We had a 27-year-old on the team that played 6 years in the coast, Jane and Risling. And I had only played in the SP. Like, it'd be easy for him to be like, who's this idiot, right? And he was just the best, and that just helped me have confidence, and it helped the team, or it helped me get the respect of the rest of the team, because he was always just like glued to me, listening, and just like the most coachable guy. I'm like, it would have been so easy for him to not be that way. He's only a year and a half, 2 years younger than me. Like, kind of a a weird situation being so close in age, not really considering myself an expert of the game or the smartest person in the world. Like, but I did know, because we'd won those 3 championships. I'm like, I do know like how to win. I feel, and I know what we had done. I've had this unique perspective, so I was like, let's go, and we did. We won the first year, and you know, despite me not maybe being sharp with certain things practice wise and stuff, I think the guys knew I cared, and so same with my assistant coach Josh Lazowski. Like he was inexperienced too. Neither of us, you know, writing on the board, it probably didn't look great and stuff, but like we it definitely didn't, but yeah, we they knew we cared, and we were lucky too. We had a good group, like skilled group, so we should have been the team to win, I think. But yeah,
it speaks to the culture of everyone buying in.
Yeah, you gotta get them to buy in. That's got to be number one, culture and buying in. You know, most of what you're doing out there is the same as other teams. Like structure doesn't vary that much.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it speaks to, like you said, your players knew that you cared, and you know that you're being authentic. It's genuine. It's coming out with what you're doing on the ice, the individual meetings that you're having with those players, making the time even to do that, right? Like all those things add up to them, you know, resonating with what you're doing. And if you're passionate, I mean, it's going to be hard for them to not be passionate as well. Yeah. And I know for me, having been on the ice with you, you know, countless times doing the skill sessions, like that's something that always stood out to me, is like, this guy's not here just to hit the clock and get out of here in 60 minutes and collect the payment. Like, he cares. He's got the energy. He's got the passion. And, you know, especially those younger kids, like, that makes all the difference in the world. Like, they can feel it, and they're going to work harder for you when you're working hard for them.
Yeah.
Right? So,
that's a good point.
Felly, it's been awesome having you here. This has been an awesome conversation. I think, unfortunately, we have to wrap up, but we really appreciate you taking the time. And, it was a real privilege to have you here today. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's an honor. My first podcast.
Nice.
Awesome. Best luck with the rest of the year.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
To help support the community, please visit our website at usports.community and follow us at usportscommunity on all social media.
You can also follow and rate our podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Audible. Subscribe and like our video feed on YouTube.
Links for all our platforms can be found in the show notes.
Best way to help grow the usports community is to comment on and share our content with your fellow parents and athletes.
This episode was produced by Nick Hussey of Hussey Multimedia, and hydration was provided by Earthwater.
The youth sports community is proudly presented by Nuance Hockey and Maw Golf.
Nuance Hockey provides detail-driven on- and off-ice development in the Edmonton area. For more information, please visit our website at nuance.hockey and follow us on social media.
Maw Golf provides elite coaching for golfers of all skill levels at the Millwoods Golf Club in Edmonton. Our apparel is provided by Burn Barley, prairie-inspired, golf-focused. To receive 15% off your next order, please visit burdenbarley.com and use our promo code YSC15.
We look forward to you joining the community next time.